COVID-19, tenants and landlords, what you need to know about temporary rent freezes and eviction moratoriums. Governor Gavin Newsom signed legislation to protect millions of tenants from eviction and property owners from foreclosure due to the economic impact of COVID-19. These protections apply to tenants who declare an inability to pay all or part of the rent due to COVID-19 related reasons. This new law protects tenants from eviction for non-payment of rent and helps keep homeowners out of foreclosure as a result of economic hardship caused by this terrible pandemic. Gavin Newsom. Under the new legislation, no tenant can be evicted before February 1st, 2021 as a result of rent owed due to a COVID-related hardship accrued between March 4th, 2020 through August 31st, 2020. If the tenant provides a declaration of hardship according to the legislation's timeline. What is the county's eviction moratorium? The Los Angeles County Temporary Eviction Moratorium, effective March 4, 2020 to October 31, 2020, is a county-wide ban on evictions of residential and commercial tenants, including mobile home space renters. What protection does the moratorium include? As of September 1st, incorporated cities must have protections in place that are equal to or greater than LA County's temporary eviction moratorium. Does this mean tenants don't need to pay their rent? No, this moratorium is not a waiver of rent, but tenants may not be evicted for non-payment due to COVID-19. Tenants are still responsible for paying any missed rent payments once the moratorium ends. Tenants are still responsible for paying unpaid amounts to landlords, but those unpaid amounts cannot be the base for an eviction. Landlords may begin to recover the debt on March 1st, 2021. Small claims court jurisdiction is temporarily expanded to allow landowners to recover these amounts. Landowners who do not follow the court eviction process will face increased penalties under the Act. Do tenants need to notify their landlord if they are unable to pay rent? Tenants must notify their landlord through a self-certification within 7 days after rent is due unless extenuating circumstances exist. Tenants are encouraged to deliver notice to their landlord in writing if they are able to do so. Tenants are encouraged to pay partial rent during the moratorium. Will tenants have to pay late fees if they don't pay rent during the moratorium? Landlords are not allowed to charge interest or late fees on unpaid rent or other amounts owed during the moratorium period and are prohibited from charging or collecting interest or late fees for any rent unpaid during the moratorium. What responsibilities do tenants and landlords have? Tenants are responsible to provide notice to their landlords if they are unable to pay rent. Landlords must accept a tenant's self-certification as a valid form of notice. Landlords are not allowed to harass or intimidate tenants that exercise their rights under the moratorium. Tenants and landlords are encouraged to work out a payment plan during and after the moratorium. What if a landlord still tries to evict a tenant? The county's moratorium may provide an affirmative defense if a tenant is served with an unlawful detainer. Tenants are not required to move until a sheriff has served a notice to vacate. Contact DCBA for more information. What if a landlord is harassing a tenant because they can't pay rent? Landlords are not allowed to harass or intimidate tenants protected by the moratorium. Harassment and intimidation include but are not limited to threatening termination of the lease or eviction, threatening to serve or serving a notice of termination/eviction, demanding payment for rent which is not yet due, shutting off utilities, locking a tenant out of their unit, verbally or physically threatening a tenant. Additional legal and financial protection for tenants include extending the notice period for non-payment of rent from 3 to 15 days to provide tenant additional time to respond to landlord's notice to pay rent or quit. Requiring landlords to provide hardship declaration forms in a different language if rental agreements was negotiated in a different language. Providing tenants a backstop if they have a good reason for failing to return the hardship declaration within 15 days. Requiring landlords to provide tenants a notice detailing their rights under the Act. Limiting public disclosure of eviction cases involving non-payment of rent between March 4th, 2020 through January 31st, 2021. Protecting tenants against being evicted for just cause if the landlord is shown to be really evicting the tenant for a COVID-19 related non-payment of rent. If a tenant feels they are being harassed by their landlord, contact DCBA to learn more about what actions you can take. Phone number 833-223-7368. Online, lacountyhelpcenter.org. Email rent@dcba.lacounty.gov. Direct messaging at LAC Help Center on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. This video was brought to you by